Hey, what's up? This is Josh Beetler with the Guitar Player School, and in this video we are going to do an overview of the 4D fretboard system for learning the modes, and a big part of that is something that's called the color system. So, four-dimensional soloing means soloing up and down from low E to high E, horizontally from left to right across a pair of strings, diagonally across the fretboard, and in time is the fourth dimension. Today, what we're going to base the learning for this color system on is the first direction, which is soloing vertically from low E. So think of it as like you're learning a box shape. Now, by the end of this video, you're going to understand why the color system is so powerful, all the basic rules to it, and you will likely want to watch this video several times, but I just want you to know that the win at the end of this is total fretboard all over the place using modes and all different scales and arpeggios and everything. So this is a big one, but don't worry if you don't understand the whole thing at the first shot. All right, so let's take a look at my screen here. All the scale shapes you will learn are going to use the 3-note patterns, it says on the left, but right here. So they are red, blue, and green. You'll notice that red and blue have your index, middle, and pinky. Those are the fingers you use for those shapes. And green, index, ring, pinky. The biggest mistake I see people do is they use index, ring finger instead of middle finger, pinky. Break that habit right away. It will get you later on. All right, so anyway, going back to the top. The color system is used to train your hand to play the modes vertically from low E to high E and horizontally across a pair of strings, which we'll get into later. So like I said, all the scale shapes that we're going to learn are going to use 3 patterns below. And they're going to go in this sequence. Red, 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 blue, blue, green, green. Now notice this is a 7 color sequence. Red, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you play a 6-string guitar. So what that means is that any point, since you're playing a 6-string guitar, one of these colors is going to disappear. But it's going to be in sequence. It's not just going to be a random one in the middle. And you'll see what I mean in a second. If you played a 7-string guitar and you were in standard 7-string tuning, then every scale you played would have all 7 of these shapes. All right, so red, 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 blue, blue, green, green. Let's dig into that a little bit more. So what you're going to see here is all the 7 scale positions that use the 3-note per string approach somehow. Okay, now you'll notice with this one, the first one right here, it starts on the C note and it goes red, red, blue, blue, green, green. So we're missing one of the reds. It would show up here on this invisible low B string if you had a 7-string guitar. Okay, so it still follows the order, we're just missing the red. Red, red, blue, blue, green, green. Okay, so this one starts with a green on the bottom. So it's green, red, 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 blue, blue. So we're missing one of the greens. This one is blue, green, green, red, red, red. So notice that every single one of these mode shapes is just starting somewhere in these 7 colors and then going through the correct order. So for example, if the low E string and A string were blue, blue, then logic would have us dictate that the next 2 strings would be green, green, and then the next 2 would be red, red. So let's go see if we can find that down here. Okay, so notice blue, blue, followed by green, green, followed by red, red. Green, green, red, 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 blue. Now, you do not have to memorize these patterns by memorizing a series of colors. I just want you to visually see that all of these scale patterns can be broken up into 3 left-hand shapes and they go in a sequence. So when you understand the order and the left hand has these 3 shapes comfortable, you can go all over the fretboard starting anywhere. Okay, so let's go a little deeper now. Each one of these colors gets associated with a specific mode. So the 7 hexachords, when you pair together all of the colors from the color system, you get the following 7 hexachords. When I say pair together, what I mean is like, look at these 2. Like these 2 are red, red. These 2 are red, red. These 2 are red, blue. These 2 are blue, blue. These 2 are blue, green. These 2 are green, green. And the last one would be green and red. So those are all the pairs. And that's what these 7 shapes are. Okay, when you pair together all the colors from the color system, you get the following 7 hexachords. Each hexachord corresponds with a mode of the major scale. If, big, super if, the first note in the pattern is the root note. So what that means is that this is the root note, or if this is the root note, or if this is the root note, or if this is the root note. No, it's the first one in each pattern. We have our index finger on it. Now, this is probably the only disadvantage to learning the system, is that it really trains you to put your index finger on the root in order to identify where you are. However, that's easily breakable, and it's worth the sacrifice of kind of getting into that habit so that you can see the entire fretboard. Okay, it's actually not really a problem. It's just something you have to kind of rework mentally as you go. These patterns occur on any adjacent strings. So right now, all of these are written on, say, the low E and A string. But just as well, I could have moved this pattern to the A and D string, or the G and B string, or any adjacent strings. All right, now there's a couple rules that you're going to learn as we go through the system. There's two of them for shifting. The first one is you're going to notice, let's go over to this paper right here. Every time we move from the G string to the B string, you have to shift your index finger a fret. See, there's a reason I skipped over this one. 1 fret shift from the G string to B string, 1 fret shift from the G string to B string. So every time you play any of these shapes going from the G string to the B string, it shifts one section of it. So that's one rule. G to B string, you shift a fret. Another rule, whenever you go from a red to a blue, you also shift a fret. So this is a red going to a blue. So when you go to the next string, you go a fret higher. Or when you're descending, you go a fret lower. Okay, so from red to blue, you shift a fret. When those two things happen at the same time, red to blue, going from the G string to the B string, notice I have a 2 fret shift. Okay. Now, the last and most important thing is that right here, I have all the mode shapes written in the key of C. And if you were to use the lowest note on the bottom of each scale pattern, then these would perfectly correspond with the modes in the key of C. So this is C. If we made that the root note, we're starting with red, red, which is the Ionian pattern, which will be followed by blue, blue, and green, green. That would make this C Ionian. I'm actually going to stop because this is a lot more easily demonstrated in person and through questions. But the main things I want you to take away is that everything is going to be these 3 colors. It follows this sequence: red, 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 blue, blue, green, green. You always have to cut one of those colors off because you have a 6-string guitar. You always shift from the G string to the B string, and you always shift from red to blue. If those two things happen at the same time, you have a 2 fret shift, like right here. These are the 7 possible mode shapes for, in this case, the key of C, but we could have used any key. And when you pair the colors together, you get these 7 patterns. And these are the shapes that go along with the modes, assuming the bottom left note is your root note. And this will make a lot more sense over time. But I just wanted to give you an overview of this system, and you won't believe how powerful it is once we get it under your fingers. All right.